My name is Mayank. I actually have been in the brand function for the past, 4 years now. I primarily worked with Greenville Ice Cream, Dr. Oetker, and now I'm working with Tata SmartFoods. So there were a lot of things that I didn't know and I thought that I knew. And every time there were new methodologies of approaching a problem. So I think the course brings along a lot of best practices and it exposes you to multiple methodologies to approaching to a problem. So I think that is a huge bonus, because generally when you are in a typical role in a company, you just know that how does that company do and their perspective of approaching things. Number one is you don't know what are the best practices. Second is, so there's one thing called as best practice, and what are the multiple angles of approaching. So yeah, this actually diversifies your experience in that way and helps you be better prepared for, I believe, even during the role, not just about the interviews. And I think it would have also benefited me had I done this earlier, because in my previous stint, specifically, some of the webinars that I attended were a huge value addition, because there's one webinar that I remember of by Chirag Desai. It was about media planning, and I've recommended that in my previous organization that we should be doing this going ahead. So yeah, I think they have adopted that, and it has resulted into better industry practices in my previous organization. The role itself required a digital marketing as not an exactly experience, but understanding. So I, in fact, had a project which I had to submit. So I had, in fact, interacted with Ishu, who is the co-founder, and he actually helped me in fine-tuning some of the things on my presentation. So that is, I think that was the key driver towards pushing me towards my selection. And it also gives you an opportunity to present your previous experiences better. So say, for example, my first stint in Greenville. So I did not know how to present the concept prototypes that I did during my tenure there. And then some of the value addition that we had during our interaction with primarily Issue. So basis that there were some refinements that I did in my approach towards explaining that how did I went about, and that in fact has helped me to easily crack interviews. Because in an interview, it's very important that we actually present the point in a very precise and concise manner, also providing the structure and getting to know about that these are the things that we should focus upon instead of things that are not important. So the most important and the most interesting and the most value addition that I got was from the consumer insight module, wherein there are multiple methodologies to arrive at a particular insight, whereas what I was aware was only one methodology of arriving at an insight. Because so that webinar itself is, there are I think 2 webinars, and before that there's a preparatory module itself. So preparatory module actually helps you with one way of thinking, the webinar 1 helps you with another way of thinking, and the webinar 2 helps you with a third way of thinking. So there are 3 ways in which you can arrive at a consumer insight. So it has actually helped me in being better prepared for my future job roles, wherein if I am actually faced with a similar situation wherein I have to crack a consumer insight, so I'll be better channelized and I'll have a better precision over coming up with an insight. I'm new to a digital marketing environment, so understanding those advanced concepts and actually implementing them in my curriculum. So especially in terms of some of the projects that were there in YouTube and I would say Facebook as well. So I had only a basic or a beginner knowledge of how do I implement campaigns across Facebook. I would call it value addition in terms of, because now I am neck to neck with someone who is very experienced as a digital marketer. I think while I'm interacting with my agencies as well, I am better able to question them and extract the best out of my digital campaigns. Actually tried to learn digital marketing on my own. Then I figured out that all these things are all haywire and you get only a fraction of information that is actually out there. You just get the base framework to implement them and not the actual hands-on experience. So it's much beyond hands-on experience, but the right methodology of the industry best practices that are there, that we get in this course. Otherwise, while learning from the internet, it's not so much, I would say, well linked to each other, because there are implications for each and every section towards the other sections. And unless you learn that how one section affects the other section, you'll not be able to figure out and arrive at a robust solution. So collaborating multiple line of thoughts into a single module is what this course has helped me to do. In an MBA, your knowledge is primarily limited to books. Whatever you study in books is what you interpret and what you adapt. Whereas you get to know that what are the ways in which it's actually getting implemented on ground. There are a lot of irrelevant things that are there in books which do not apply to the actual world. And most of the time I used to think that whatever I studied during my MBA is I'm able to utilize only 10% of it, or maybe 15% of it. But yeah, I think this course is something which I'll be able to utilize fully. So yeah, I think it's a huge plus over an MBA. So it has been enriching from group point of view as well. Fortunately, I had another brand manager with me. So it was, I think, enriching from the sense that getting to know that where are you faltering. I think it's better than a group from an MBA, because MBAs, we do not really have experience, and it's primarily your feelings and your gut that gives the recommendation. Whereas in groups, it's primarily your experience that gives the recommendation. So which has been a huge difference as compared to a regular MBA group. I think issue has been primarily really good in addressing our queries. So there were times when he actually went beyond his way. I precisely remember a webinar wherein it started from 8 and it went until 10, and then I chatted with him until 10:30. So whole half an hour was only me questioning him and finding out that what is the right methodology or doing things. So issue has been really helpful in clarifying and bringing out those best practices. Yeah, so what I would tell them is that initially the course might not look a huge value addition just by reading the content or just by getting referred or someone speaking good about it, but if you actually go through that course and you actually follow the course curriculum properly, make notes and record those notes, you'll be able to hugely benefit from the course. And I think each and every module is a value addition. You might have done things that are there in a particular module, but it's not just about the module, it's about the webinar and the feedback session that you get from the mentors. So each of this is value addition, and even a small value addition in a corporate world goes a long way in your corporate job, because you would get really appreciated for what you've done. So the key takeaway here is that don't judge book just by its cover or just by reading the first page. The book is much more interesting as you travel along. Anyways, definitely want to enroll into another program which is a level up beyond professional brand management in digital age. So that is it.